Burnout can make you question everything, your talent, your drive, even your worthiness. And soon you start to feel like you're fading from your own life. But what if it's not burnout? What if it's fixable? If you've been feeling broken, creatively, emotionally, even spiritually, this one is for you. And I want to tell you that you're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You still have all of your spark, your talent, your experience. What's really happening and how to fix it is what we're going to talk about right now. This will probably be the most important and difficult thing that I ever say in any show I ever do, because this is a lived truth. Burnout doesn't always look like exhaustion. Sometimes it looks like numbness, like avoidance, like I just can't do this anymore. It might look like I'm not worthy or I've lost my spark. Before the U, I filmed on the Great Wall of China, worked with ad agencies, made commercials for wireless phone providers and boating companies. I had 25 years and hundreds of successful projects before coming to campus. But it always felt like there was something missing, and I found it when I started mentoring and coaching students. Now, my first 3 years at the U were some of the best of my entire career. Working with students, producing live sports and filming and editing high-end pieces for the campus. And then one day I was told that I would only do live productions, no more film and edit projects, no reason given. And when I asked what was happening, I was ghosted. And when I cornered the big department boss for an answer, well, I was yelled at. I mean, he was red-faced angry. And 10 minutes later, he came by and told me that I did nothing wrong, but I'd have to talk to my supervisor during my annual review. And if the first 3 years were some of the best in my career, those 3 years were the absolute worst. Now, this affects you in so many ways. You start to push deadlines, you ghost projects, you have trouble staying focused, you abandon ideas that you once loved. It's a bad spiral to be on. And eventually you buy into the negativity and you begin to abandon yourself. Now, I want you to imagine a singer that is told that they're no good, right? They might stop singing in public. They might stop auditioning. And eventually they're only going to sing for themselves when no one else is around to hear them. Or worse, they just stop completely. And this doesn't happen because you're lazy or because you've lost your spark, or the worst fear that you never had it in the first place. It happens because you're hurting, because you abandon yourself somewhere back there and your brain is still grieving the loss of you, who you were truly meant to be. Think about that for a moment. What I finally realized is that grief isn't a weakness. It's a signal. And when you learn to read it, it points to the way forward. Self-abandonment doesn't just happen overnight. It kind of sneaks in slowly over time as you start to internalize the bad things that happen in all of our lives, and then actually start to believe that it's your fault or your flaw. Now imagine this. Here's a guy that has filmed interviews with Fortune 500 CEOs and filmed cruise ships in the Caribbean hanging out of a helicopter, and I was convinced that I wasn't good enough to do what I'm doing right now, sitting here talking to you and helping you build the life you are meant to love. The turning point for me was when I reminded myself of all my past victories, and I realized that, yes, some bad things had happened to me, but it was me who walked away and abandoned my years of experience and my dreams. I gave up the power, I gave up my voice, and I just listened to the negative. And that's when I started to wonder what happens to everyone who hasn't had the kinds of victories to draw strength from. I started looking for ways to heal. And so I did something kind of strange, but it worked for me and it will work for you too. I actually started by writing a resignation letter, and I actually had job offers lined up, but none of them seemed quite right. And as Mary said to me, how do you know it's going to be any better there? And eventually I ended up writing a letter to myself, to my creative self that I had walked away from. And this is where I began healing, because I began to realize I'm not broken. I'm just carrying an old wound that was never treated and never had the chance to heal. And so I gave myself permission to heal and to get back to being me, who I'm meant to be. So your challenge this week is to write a letter to your creative self. Acknowledge what you walked away from, what the world and other people took away from you. Apologize if needed. Forgive yourself. Invite yourself back and give yourself permission to be you again. So tag a photo of a project that you're revisiting. This is the project that I'm revisiting. And if I can do it, you can do it. Share your story. Why did you stop? Why are you coming back to it now? What made you change? And if you haven't come back to a project yet, well, I'm going to help you get there in just a little bit. You thought you were broken, but maybe, just maybe, you were waiting for your own permission to come home. So remember, you're not broken, you're grieving. You're not weak, you're healing. You're not done, you're just getting started. I'm going to give you 3 solid things you can do today to get your creative life back on track. But first, next time we're answering a DM from somebody I'm going to call Andy. Now, he talks the talk and he has big dreams, but something's missing. And what if it's not really about time or money, Andy? What if the real issue is something else entirely? So we're going to talk about the difference between wanting a dream and what it takes to actually go beyond dreaming and talking, not just random actions splashing around in the pool, but techniques to actually start building and living the life you were always meant to love. And I'm going to be honest, Andy, what I have to say might sting, but I promise you this, it comes from a place of love, and I'm going to coach you through this. So on to some victories that you can celebrate today. You can do all of these in about 5 minutes each. Number 1, write that letter to yourself, even if it's messy. Number 2, pick one creative thing that you've left behind and revisit it for just 5 minutes today. Just 5 minutes. Get back the tiniest momentum and prove to yourself that you still got it, that you still love it. And even if you're afraid, even if you're unsure, you're moving. That one single step starts your journey of 10,000 steps, but it has to start with one right now, today. Number 3, say this out loud. I'm just getting started. Because there's some deep neuroscience behind this and in writing the letter. And if you're interested, I might put a video together about it in the near future. What you need to understand is that you're not behind. You're not broken. In fact, I have a great story about a student of mine from Uganda. Now, Ricky comes to me one day and he says that he's going to run a 5K race. And in talking to him, I learned that he had never run a race of any kind before in his entire life. So when it's done, he brings me this picture and tells me that he finished the race. And I was so proud of him. You can see in the photo that Ricky is all alone. And I assumed that since he'd never run before, that he was coming in dead last place. Well, it turns out that Ricky won the race. His nearest competitor was actually more than 2 minutes behind him. But Ricky had the right idea from the beginning because he didn't run that race against anyone else. He only ran against himself. And the point is, you are the only person that you are racing against. And when you cross that finish line, it will be your first-class victory. Because you are still needed, you are still worthy, and it's still worth finishing the race. The movie isn't over yet. This is just the scene where the hero looks like he might lose before he regroups and comes back to win the final showdown. So get out there, do the 3 quick challenges, and I want you to live creative all day, every day.